Okay, can everybody hear me? And those in the back that are talking, I'm going to go into my radio voice when it gets loud. How's that? So, this is actually a 1-hour presentation, so I've got a lot of talking in 25 minutes. So I took out a lot of slides. I suspect I'll be presenting on this in the future. My background, well, it was 1978 when I was taking a class in computing, and I decided I learned about a game, and I decided, well, I don't like losing games, so I modified the code, and then I went back to system administrators and said, hey, I modified the code, this is really cool, and they said, you're responsible for security. So that's how I got into the industry. Okay, and it happened again and again and again, and stories over adult beverages are always good. So the goal of this is to take the hacker mentality and apply it to finding not only jobs but your career. Now, to begin with, how many people are actually looking for jobs? Okay, how many people are recruiting here? Okay. Oh, I knew you. Yes. So there's information about both. My biggest concern in this industry is there's a wide gap between the needs and the definitions of the people that are hiring and the ability to be able to translate that information into making a match. So this particular set of slides is specifically to hopefully help both sides of the domain. Okay, so we'll have to do this fast. Yes, find a job you love. Yeah, I've been doing it for a while, so I love it. So let's hack the actual process of the HR. So you are on the left-hand side, and the organization, which includes your HR person, your hiring manager, and who actually funded it, or funding it. The organization or the HR manager, specifically the organization, is going to be looking at two types of hires. They're going to be looking at a tactical hire. A tactical hire, you're going to go sit in a seat based on a set of definitions and maybe be a sock monkey or whatever. It's a typical issue, especially in the government contracting domain, but essentially you want to be a strategic hire. Okay, strategic hire, you need to provide extreme amounts of value to that company and give new ideas and new concepts to actually help them meet what their objectives are. So they define the job position. The next thing that happens is somebody has to break that out into tasks. These tasks may have been sitting there for years. There are job presentations out today from specific companies that still include mainframe as one of these lines, and they have not used mainframes in years. Okay, that particular company is no longer. So this is a real challenge to go through this particular process for a lot of organizations. Then we have the actual mesh between you and the actual tasks you're looking for. This is where the knowledge, skills, and the abilities come in. Oh, by the way, there is a link to the very bottom that, if you allow me to bounce out. There we go. Okay, if you're a hiring manager, make it simple on us so that we can get hired. Here is a product that DHS offers for free that you can use as a template to create these particular items. All you have to do is provide the job description. It makes it simpler for us. You notice how I just hacked the HR system? It's awesome. Let's see, current slides. Okay, the next thing that happens is you have to go through performing a job. So what they're looking at is for the tasks. They're looking for things that can be performed in less or learned in less than 90 days. You know, I need to learn VI. Okay, you can do that in an afternoon. On the next one, which is creating the interview questions, checklists, retention bonuses, things like this. This is actually where you want to be, is you want to make sure the tasks are met with what you're trying to accomplish, but you want to be a strategic hire with the items on the next line, and I'll map those for you. For the manager, or what you bring to the table is your knowledge, experience, and training, everything else. But you have a resume, And please make sure you update the resume. If don't do it here, go find a mentor to help you actually design your resume to be focused on what your passion is in this field. And also, you're going to be interviewed. Get somebody to actually walk you through the interview process. Some of us have gray hair in this audience, so we've been through it once or many times. Some of us don't. So be aware, your resume better include the right training certification. This is a point that slows down the hiring process if this information is not right, so make sure this is aligned. So, other things. Carefully read the job description. Carefully read what the features are. If you are a Microsoft person and they're talking about Linux, it's going to make it harder to get through the door to have that conversation. Go learn Linux. Yes, I have links to how to do that later. Match your job experience with what you see. Oh, by the way, if there's something missing, there are so many resources out there that within a week you can actually pick up a specific experience. Has anybody ever loaded Elasticsearch? Has anybody ever implemented Security Onion? I mean, literally, these are 1 week type things just to get that primary knowledge about how this stuff works and have a conversation. For a professional standpoint, please, if you're young, please don't use the email you did in high school and grammar school. Get a professional email. Put a LinkedIn in. Your Facebook, no. Get rid of that. Put a professional one in. So these are really important to think about because recruiters are now looking at this about you. Reboot yourself so that you can get this job opportunity. Also, does anybody belong to any local groups where you live? ISSA, a hacker group, a meetup group? Not as many people that should be. Everybody basically should be part of that particular group. Why? Number one, it's free education training. Number two, if they are there, those companies have jobs. Okay? Ask the question. So I'm coming to this ISSA or this ISACA or whatever meetup. I'm looking for this kind of job. Do you guys do that? Okay? Finding the person that's going to hire and going around HR is the simplest way to get hired, and then make sure HR processes the paperwork. Let's see. Oh, how many people have a home lab? Yes, we're almost halfway. Everybody in this field should have a home lab. That might be a single computer with virtualization and virtualized networking and things like that. Or it could be like I had in January with 96 cores and 35 terabytes of drive space. I was experimenting with a couple things. So you can go either direction, but go set up a lab because there's going to be times you're going to want to ask a question. You're going to go home and actually be able to test it out. And come back with new solutions. On the other side, get to know the company. Okay, we call this open source intelligence. Go learn open source intelligence. I presented at DEF CON 16 years ago about how to do this. Please go do this. Go find out about the company. Why? When you're in the interview, what is the first thing they say? Do you have any questions for us? This gives you context to say, well, I see you just bought another company. What does that mean to me coming on board? Or, hey, I see that your stock prices are going down. What does that impact? How does that impact me in the industry, in the thing? Or I see you're getting into a new product line. Ask those questions. The hiring manager appreciates that you've done the due diligence and started learning about what the company does. Okay. A job is really simply earning money. A career is connecting all your employment opportunities to get to your greater job. Some people early in your career, you only want to make one hop, and that's what you're looking for. Some people want to say, hey, I'm in my early 20s, I've done this and this and this. I want to now be a chief security officer by the end of my 20s or early 30s. Okay, start mapping your career out. Number one, it'll save on burnout because you have an ultimate goal. It also allows you to control your career. Here's what my career looked like. Okay, because in '78 there really wasn't a job role for that. What that was, hey, something's weird with this thing. Can you look at it? It's not working. And finding very strange things, that's another discussion later. Well, National Institute of Technology, NIST, started working on a project a while back called the National, basically for cyber education. What they're attempting to, initiative for cyber education, what they're attempting to do is standardize this framework. Many organizations do not know this exists. The organizations that don't know this exists, their job recs are out of sync many times. They're not as easy to read. You're not actually able to get to what your goal is. Take a look at this. I want to bring up the web page for this. This is actually very cool. So in this category, NIST has defined these particular categories as general topics. Sir? Oh my God, I didn't do that. Sorry. Can you see it now?
There it is.
Yay. Okay, so let's see. So what the challenge there is, there we go. You see each of the major roles? There's a lot of categories in here. When I got started, I was the security guy, the only one for a Fortune 500 company. Okay, now they have dozens and sometimes hundreds, and I have a lot of friends that have gone through this process. Go find a title that looks interesting. Go read the job description, it's interesting. If you're passionate about this, this can go very well very quickly. Okay, and all the links, by the way, are in the slides, just in case you're interested. Okay, so what NIST did was they created this great set of qualifications. Currently, 7 categories. Wow, who would have known? 33 specialties. 52 work roles. Oh, by the way, these are major categories. These are minor categories. If I'm doing forensics, I may be doing forensics on an IoT device or an automobile, or I may be a specialist in hard drives from a forensic standpoint, dead boxes, or I may be doing network forensics. Okay, even under these categories, there's lots of specialties. Make sure when you're looking at the job request that you can determine what that specialty is that they're looking for so you can align yourself with that particular goal. Again, there's a link on here that will give you lots of details. Please take the time to do it because it helps you, again, figure out what job position you're passionate for or to. Okay, the next thing, mapping your career goals. So as part of the NIST initiative, they went out and had support from the industry. And what the industry did was they created some really cool applications to help people track their career. I'm going to bring the web page up again if I can see it. Tab what? Oh, I can't even see the tabs. Let's bring it over. Oh my God. Tab 2. There we go. So during some study, what they found out was that the vast majority of people that got into this field, they may have their degree or their background in something else, but as part of their development, They had to learn something. They became interested in networking. They were the networking guy for a university or from a school. Or they were the software development person because they learned software development so they could do this other career. Or they were systems engineer because suddenly you're the only guy that knew about computers. Therefore, for this biological system to do genome, you basically have to set up a network for us. Okay, this is a real typical issue. Each of these, let's go over here. Each of these have categories and information. General descriptions on price. If we click on this, we can see connections. These connections, hopefully you can see it and it's not too small. These connections between nodes are the optimal path that they've determined. What that means is instead of learning a whole new industry or bunch of stuff, it's a minimal amount of things. As an example, if I'm a professional investigator, I probably am not a guy that needs to know the bits and bytes of networking. But to become a professional investigator, I have to know other things and this stuff. Okay, so it kind of minimalizes it. What you need to do. Again, a worthwhile website to go to at the very bottom. And again, I'm not unsure what the size of that is, if you can see it all. Can you see it there? This provides general pricing, which categories. It gives you a good framework to understand how to make certain decisions and what decisions you need to make. By the way, did you notice it has certifications on there? Certification is what you need to get that current job, and certifications to move to the next level. Okay, that's pretty cool, huh? So, next topic. Evaluate your knowledge. One of the biggest challenges that I see in resumes was, I want 20 years of Golang development. Okay, Golang's really been public for 5 years, but I see people do that. Or, I want, 18 years of Android. Have we had Androids for 18 years? I don't think so. So, you have to actually understand, where are you? From the hiring manager standpoint, if you notice, there's levels, and these are, I went out and looked at hundreds of resumes to say, is it basic level or entry level? These are just the terms that are used. The hiring manager wants to know different things to find out how qualified you are for a job. For the first level, it's, I want to know that you have knowledge of and you could read a book and learn this. The second is that you have the skills too, because you've already read the book and you've applied those capabilities. The next level for expertise is, I could take that book and I could teach a class to my field or people in the industry. The last one really is, hey, I develop things that are completely different. I've developed books. I've supported the development of IETF RFCs or IEEE standards or, whatever that is. That's the real levels of capabilities you need. You wouldn't expect a junior person to be told, hey, you need to help write RFCs with no networking experience for an IETF. So please help if you're looking at a company where there's a mismatch, have a conversation with them about it. And if they're not willing to have the conversation, maybe they're not the right place to go. Okay, next item, geography. So there's so many jobs out there, except they're clustered in specific areas. Okay? I'm always told, well, I'm going to live in the desert someplace and I'm going to do the job there. Well, there's no employer mismatch. Doesn't work. As you can see from the right lower hand side, we can see the amount of job openings of each different area. Oh, by the way, I have my email address at the end of this. If you wish, please email me and I'll send you these slides as they are and the notes and things like that. So feel free. So if you notice on the left-hand side, it says states, it says metro and states on the upper left-hand side. It says size of area you want to be in. Some people want to live in a small city and want to see that there's actually jobs there, especially if you have family or you're doing something with parents or whatever. The other thing in the upper right-hand corner, we have the public sector and we have the private sector. Do you want to work in government? Do you want to work in the private sector? Do you want to work in both? You're looking for the best places and jobs. Okay, I am going to bring up the next slide, which should be, there we go. There. Oh, there. So, if you fly over, you can get an idea of the amount of jobs. If I click on it, I can get a detail. If I go down here, I can see what the match of how many jobs there are in a specific area. Apparently this is updated about once a month, so it gives you an idea. Things that you need to be looking for. If you're somebody that wants peers to learn from peers, you want a larger population in an area. I lived in a place at one point that I was the one running the security group and the Linux group and the networking group. I mean, there weren't a lot of people in the area I was with. I now live in an area where basically there's dozens of groups and I can go to different meetups almost every night, sometimes two if I could be two people. But, you know, you can't do that. But if you take a look at it, it gives you, see the certifications? The orange is how many certifications in a specific area. The blue is what the hiring manager in the company is looking for. Can you see it? There's a mismatch on required jobs versus certifications. And also you can see things like you will find certain fields where just being a high school or just having an associate's not going to be enough. They're going to expect having a master's degree or a PhD. So again, this gives you a framework to start managing your career. Current. There you go. Mentors. How many people have a mentor? One of mine, by the way, is Vince Cerf, the father of the internet. So that's kind of fun. How many people help other people as mentors? Okay, cool. The best way in this industry to learn is to mentor somebody else, because you're going to push yourself to understand what their needs are. You're going to start reading about it. You're going to start understanding it. I put together a list of the 9 major types of mentors. Some people can only do 1 or 2. Some people in their career as they've gone on, they've been able to be a mentor for each of these categories. One of my talents is a connector. I have lots of people because I've been in this industry for years and years and years. And years and years. Anyway, you know, educator, coach, cheerleader, idea generator. Hey, I'm having this particular problem, and you basically want ideas. And sometimes you just want an ear. You want somebody to listen to what you have to say. So please go out, become a mentor, and go find people in each of these categories. It will help your career. It'll help you from not getting burned out in this field. This is a real benefit. Okay, final thoughts before I show you the list of good links. A job is something where someone else controls your investment in your future. That kind of feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? Okay? A career is something where you define your future, but you work with the company you're with to get investments in what your future education is. There was a presentation earlier today that showed that education and training is very important, especially when every 3 years the technology changes. You know, it's kind of like a physician going, yeah, 3 years ago the heart was here, but now it's over here, so things have gotten really weird. Also, if you want to be in this field, be the noun, but you have to be the verb. You have to take action before you can say you're a security professional. And there'll be a day that you go, holy Snikes, I'm doing some really cool stuff, which can be had over adult beverage. Okay, some resources, because these are the things that I get from the mentorees, the interns, and other friends. which is, where do I get training? If I go to this link, I can find out what training is available for my subcategory that I'm interested in and where is it located. That's pretty cool. We've never been able to do that in the past. And it's really hard to find some of these really unique training things. Next thing, 2 major links. If you're going back to college, if you have kids or grandkids that you want to get in the field and they're looking for money and they want to be in this field, there's 2 opportunities that when you go through the system, you can have your bachelor's, master's, and PhD in some cases paid for. So these are things that are really, really important. The next one, if you're a veteran, any veterans in here? Yay. This is awesome. These are free classes online. Sign up for them. If you're a government worker, a state, local government, this is also available to you. You have to sign up and you go through the process. Sorry, those that aren't in that community, but this is important. Community college. Anybody part of a community college? Go to community college? Okay, so if you do, here's a set of links that you can give a professor and say, look, you can teach 1 course in cybersecurity. You could even just have a meetup about information assurance so people can see if they want to be in this career. Pretty cool? K through 12. One of the biggest problems this community had is we went from being kids to having kids. And then realizing that during that period, we didn't have new kids coming into the field. So we actually had this gap of many years where we didn't bring people back into the field. Here are resources to bring your kids into. Personal note, I brought my 3 nieces to a HackerCon that was at MIT. 2 of them are one's going to school as a double E, the other one's a mathematician, the other one's thinking about going into robotics. Okay? Introduce the girls, introduce the boys to this. This is amazing stuff. By the way, does anybody hear of Roots? That's DEF CON's conference for kids. On the B-side side, there are the 4Kids and the Hacker Kid Cons. On about 1/3 of the particular conferences around the world. These are really cool. I have friends in the audience that have brought their kids to it and have just gone nuts. This basically then got them interested in all kind of things. By the way, this includes teaching basics of cryptography, tearing apart computers, wireless security. I mean, this is awesome for kids. And they'll teach you something. Okay. If you're a recruiter, here's 2 links for you. That DHS push button PD, awesome stuff. And also Career Development Toolkit to simplify the development of the job requests and also help us get into this field. Oops, sorry, I just flipped. Did you get it? Cool. Okay, building labs. This is a link. Go home, please. Take this. Go home. Whenever you get home, go try each of these labs. Literally, you will learn a piece of every single job role by playing with these particular labs. I chose them specifically for offense, defense, forensics, penetration testing, attack validation, intelligence. I mean, basically, it goes through everything. Next one, professional branding. You have a brand as you get into this field. Your LinkedIn is your brand. Go do your LinkedIn. 11 steps to create a professional WordPress. Go do that. I have a blog that goes back to 2000 right now. That's pretty fun. That's pretty much just 1 or 5 times a year putting my comments and my references. Security conferences. Go find security conferences. A lot of them are expensive. B-Sides. I'm a big proponent of B-Sides. Shout out to B-Sides DC, Delaware, Philadelphia, and lots of others. They're low cost, they're free. Oh, by the way, all these conferences it doesn't cost much if you volunteer. Okay, by the way, anybody want to take a SANS course? They have a volunteer program. which costs you a lot less. Okay? So there's a lot of resources. The other thing, how many people know Linux? How many people know it so well that you can do kernel work? Okay, so Linux Foundation has a bunch of free courses, like free Kubernetes and learning shell and things like that. These things are free. Yes, you can put $100 and they give you a certificate and you can put it in your resume. Awesome. Or you can learn and become a kernel hacker, and they have all the details there. Okay, lastly, there is no real shortage, in my opinion, in this field. What the problem is a mismatch between our hiring folks and what you guys need for your careers. And that's it. I'm done. I've been cut off. Do I have time for questions?
One question, or you can have a fan club outside.
One question?
Any more questions? Well,
Sorry. Somebody behind you. Can you stand up? I can't hear you, please.
I just wanted to know if you think that a CS degree is too important right now to get a real hacking path career, or if it's something that maybe you don't need so fast.
It depends on the company and it depends on the job area. I'd suggest to go into the job area, the geographic, and see what specific title you have to see if they're looking for PhDs, masters, or just having associates. Okay? Some of those are different for every single career path. You know, go take and get a degree, but understand this for your first job or your second job. Consider that a way of helping you make that decision. Okay, I'm going to go right outside because this wonderful lady is next, and I hate to walk out and not see her presentation, but I'll see it on video. Hi.
Thanks, Joe, so much. Really appreciate it.